Now entering the auditorium is United States Military Academy Preparatory School staff and faculty, led by the Dean, Colonel Victor Deakins, and the Associate Dean, Miss Melanie Wong. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's commencement ceremony, celebrating the United States Military Academy Preparatory Class of 2025. Please rise for the entrance of the official party and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem and the invocation. The official party consists of Colonel Nathaniel Conkey, Colonel Everett Spain, Command Sergeant Major Scott Brinson, Colonel Victor Deakins, Major Daniel Vijant, and Dr. David Borowitz. Chaplain Hahn will now give this morning's invocation.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we gather today with hearts full of gratitude and pride as we celebrate the accomplishments of these remarkable graduates of the United States Military Academy Preparatory School. We thank you for guiding them through their journey of growth, discipline, and dedication. Bless these graduates as they step forward to embrace the challenges and responsibilities that lie ahead. Instill in them courage, wisdom, and unwavering integrity. May their commitment to service reflect the highest values of honor, duty, and country. We ask for your continued protection over them and all who serve. Grant strength to their families and mentors who have supported them with love and guidance. As they embark on the next chapter of the journey, may they lead with humility, serve with purpose, inspire others through the example. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. ladies and gentlemen, the 32nd Commandant of the United States Military Academy Preparatory School, Colonel Nate Conkey.
Thank you, Jason. I'm used to a lot more pageantry going on before I get called up to talk, but I guess the true pomp and circumstance is coming here in a few minutes, so this is a good thing. So another good morning and welcome, certainly for our distinguished guests here today, Major General and Mrs. Lozano, Command Sergeant Major and Mrs. Barreto, Mr. and Mrs. Registe, Mr. and Mrs. Tokar, all in support of your incredible children. Colonels Deep and Foster, # dual military, representing the Academy and Corps of Cadets leadership. Likewise, Dr. Jeff Peterson and Mr. Dave Vance Lambrook, again, USMA and USCC representatives, thank you. Colonel Rance Lee from Admissions and Lieutenant Colonel Scott Ostrander from Keller, both incredible partners and teammates to us at the prep school. And of course, welcome to our guest speaker, Colonel Everett Spain and his wife, Julia. I'll be further introducing him in just a moment. And to all others, staff and faculty, friends and family, whether at the end of a YouTube link or here in person, welcome. And down here, right in the epicenter of the auditorium, teammates, how we doing? Yeah, good morning. Let's go, CCs. This is absolutely a culmination right here, right? Yes, sir. Are we excited? Yes, sir. I can probably get a tracking or a hua in there. We talked about that last night. But one more time, good morning. And that may have been a bit of a trick question in there, asking if this is the end, because it most certainly is not. We've talked about it consistently. This is a benchmark. This is a waypoint. And as you get down the hill and begin seeing those marks out in front, you will still meet the challenges head on. You will turn them into opportunities and you'll ask for more. Given that you continue to have the desire, keep the faith, and most certainly put in the effort. There we go. You guys have been following along in this docu-series. I laid out yesterday that we would talk about each of these words, our words, as we navigated all three significant events of the last 24 hours or so. Today, we'll briefly talk about effort before I yield the stage to a far better orator and then get on to handing out some certificates. My material today comes from last night. You see, the benefit of this screenwriter not having all his scripts until just before the episode airs is he can use current material all the time, and he can speak in the third person. This content is from CC Jacob Hinton, right here in the front row. Documentation of spoken work, and my works cited is attached, so no worries. You see, I gave Jake an ounce of a heads up last night that I was going to call on him and needed to have something ready last night. Later in the evening, after the coins, after the off the cuff, he confided that he started to get half a speech ready. You see, he was putting in some effort. I asked what he was going to say, and it was this. Please allow me to paraphrase as he was talking in theory to his fellow CCs. He told me, there's a version of yourself. Everyone has a version of themselves that walks across the stage in Mikey Stadium on May 26th, 2029. So just let that sit in and marinate for a second and imagine that in your head. He phrased it as both a challenge and a goal. He stated as fact, speaking it into existence, to which he can help hold himself and others around him accountable. He took the statistics, which Vasilia talked about, and said, not us, not our class, this is our vanguard. It's going to take a lot to get there. Character, humility, grit. It's going to take teamwork, grace, commitment, and most certainly desire, faith, effort. It's my honor to now introduce our guest speaker for today's ceremony, who every time I have seen him and shaken hands since the list came out with my name up against the USMAPS position of commandant, he has said every time, desire, faith, effort, as we shook hands. But my introduction of him might be the hardest mission I've had all week. There is just so much rich material from his life and connection between Team Spain and Team Conkey that I'd love to share with this room right now. At its core, I'm not standing behind this podium without Colonel Spain. Sure, he hired my wife into the Department of Behavioral Sciences and Leadership, and with me holding tight to her coattails, that got me back to West Point. And yes, he's been a longtime friend of the prep school, doing research on and for us, and connecting us with amazing teammates and benefactors. He has been a personal friend, advocate, and mentor. Heck, our kids have played on the same sports teams, and they too look up to the Spain family. But one story I'll share is far more personal. February 2021, I'm the professor of military science at Auburn University's ROTC program, and I get a call from my brigade commander, Colonel Bennett. My promotion list from 05 to 06, lieutenant colonel to colonel, was pending, and this was likely the congratulatory call. I had recently finished a successful battalion command with an amazing team that crushed every mission assigned. I personally got all the marks and ranks needed on my evals. I had seen the stats, watch out for those stats, from recent years, and I was a shoo-in for promotion. At Auburn, I was with yet another amazing team, was doing quite well, and had a great relationship with my boss, Colonel Bennett. He was a trickster, and he would playfully give me a hard time about things. His trick on that day was to tell me I hadn't been selected for promotion. We went back and forth a few times until I realized he wasn't kidding. I had not been selected. I had been deselected. I was turned down. I took it that I was rejected. I took it that my effort wasn't good enough. In hindsight, it probably wasn't. But what that day was humbling. And as I was questioning my life and Army career, my desire, I was questioning my faith, and I was questioning my effort, it was a phone call soon after with Colonel Spain that got me back on track. Much to my wife's chagrin, I still have the 3x5 card that I took notes on that day. You see, I'm the messy pack rat in our relationship. I keep everything. She's tidy and organized. But this 3x5 card, it's got our notes. Sir, you pointed the way. It may not have been in the exact words at the time, but here you talked about desire, faith, and effort. You laid out the map, which somehow, and only by God's will, came to fruition. You said by remaining a lieutenant colonel for longer, I'd be eligible to serve as a regimental tactical officer. You highlighted the possibility to attend Columbia University as a War College fellow and stay close to my family. And you pointed out that with effort, and it would most certainly take a lot of effort, I could still earn a promotion and be in the exact right window to be eligible for the position of the United States Military Academy Preparatory School Commandant. You called the shot. It took effort, personal, professional, individual, collective effort, but thank you, sir. And if you want to look him up and read or listen to him further, he's done podcasts on From the Green Notebook and with the USMAPS on ideas that impact. Recent speaker for the Corps Founders Day event in the mess hall, where he absolutely brought down the house. And a published author across numerous character and leadership journals, which have personally affected my leadership style. He's a graduate not only of USMA, but also holding degrees from Missouri, Duke, and Harvard Business School. He served with units such as the 82nd Airborne Division out of Fort Bragg, 5th Corps in Germany, and other incredible units worldwide. He has numerous deployments under his belt and commanded the U.S. Army garrison in Schweinfurt. He is now the outgoing department head of what I regard to be the most impactful academic department at West Point, Behavioral Sciences and Leadership. Please help me welcome to the podium, from the class of 1992, the brave and the few, Colonel Everett Spain.
Let's go, Vanguards. Isn't it good to be together? Yeah. General Lozano, Dr. Peterson, Dr. Borowitz, Major Vijant, Command Sergeant Major Barretto, Colonel Ransley, Director of Admissions, Mr. Van Slambrook, Deputy Commandant, Coach McIntyre. See so many friends throughout the audience, important people to prep school, to West Point, to our nation, to freedom. Most importantly, though, to the USMAPS class of 2025. I also want to do a special welcome and congratulations to the parents. I was privileged to have my oldest son attend West Point. He graduated a couple years ago, but I was in this auditorium when we dropped him off. I had been in the Army for a while. I knew my son was going. It wasn't a surprise. I'd been at numerous R-Day drop-offs, which you're about to experience. And I was wondering, would I cry? I've seen a lot of things in life. Would I cry? Well, I dropped my son off over there. They said we had 30 seconds or 90 seconds to say our goodbyes. And my eyes welled up. And a tear of pride went down my cheek. Congratulations, Mom and Dad. I want to thank the great staff and faculty of the United States Military Preparatory School. I see some here, over here. Thanks for your teamwork in building leaders of character. It's hard for me to put in words how much I love the prep school and how much I love West Point, how much I love the Army, and how much I love our country. But let me try through a few stories. There's some families I want to give greeting to that I've known through the years: the Arbogast, the Hennons, the Inslins, the Berettos, the McDonalds, the Gibson Gilmores, the Morgans, and many, 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 many other. And I look forward to meeting you all. Let's do a roll call first. This is Army formation. If where I say the part of the country is where you're from now or where you were from, including our CCs and our family and friends, let me hear a little shout. Let me hear a little spirit. So let's start with some folks that are probably the smallest group. Anyone from overseas, whether it's military overseas or did you come from a different place? Anyone overseas, Alaska, Hawaii, another country, you live there now. Let's hear it. Awesome. Great to have you here. Let's start the country and go where we are now and go, we'll end up here. I'm from the Southeast. Anyone else here from the Southeast? We'll talk a little bit more about the Southeast later. How about let's keep going around the bend? How about the Southwest, from kind of Texas to California? Anybody from Southwest? Welcome. You came from a long way, but I'm glad you're here. How about the Midwest, coming back around top? Any Midwest nice folks here? Amazing. How about right where we are here, within about 6-hour range? Anybody from the great Northeast or Mid-Atlantic? Anybody from somewhere I didn't call? Northwest. Yeah, how about Oregon, Washington, Montana, Idaho, Colorado, Northwest? Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Isn't it great how we're one team, one family? Army's the greatest team in the world. So I had fun at the parade yesterday. I was in the audience with family. It gave me great pleasure to see mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers, and even a grandmother looked at me and started chatting me up. And a wonderful lady, just proud as you could be, all the way from New Mexico, if I remember correctly, proud of her CC. And the deep pride that you all have, family members, is just legion, and I feel it along with you today. So much fun. So hey, family members, what do you think about this uniform that your CCs have on, that I have a version on? I'll step out. So it's pretty new in the Army, right? It's pretty new. Do you know the nickname of this uniform? Pinks and greens. Where's that come from? It comes from World War II, the style of our Army officer uniform in World War II, the greatest generation that defeated the fascist Nazis and the evil Imperial Japanese forces. They wore this uniform, and the greens comes from the brownish green color of the jacket and the pants. And the pinks come from the lighter color shirt that in the sun has a twinge of pink to it. Pinks and greens. Well, I really like wearing this uniform. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today. I got to put it on. I got to match the CCs. They'll commission in that uniform 4 years from now. They'll put lieutenant bars on there, and you'll help with that, Mom and Dad. Super good. There's one reason that I like this uniform that's different than just how it looks, though. As you know, an Army uniform somewhat tells our story. It tells our story. So I have taken the opportunity to pick role models in my Army career. And I've got a few of them that I carry with me on my uniform. And let me tell you about 4 of them. I have these jump wings. You can see them here. Lots of Army officers have them. They're not that rare. We're all proud that we jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. Lots of the CCs will be lieutenants and will lead soldiers as paratroopers. But they're not going to wear this set, because this set was the 11th set of Master Wings ever awarded in 1945. This particular set, solid silver, was given to Private First Class Charles Hirschfeld. His friends called him Papa San. Hirschfeld volunteered for the 1st Jump Platoon in 1942. When his country said, we need an airborne insertion force to fight evil going on around us, they only asked for volunteers. Hirschfeld said, here I am, Lord, send me, from Isaiah 6:8. Or another version, here I am, USA, send me. So when I look in the mirror and I see those airborne wings, yes, I'm proud that I'm airborne qualified. But I have a role model in front of me that jumps into the unknown to fight evil and defend freedom. And I think that's the guy I want to be. is what Charles Hirschfeld was. So these air assault wings, a little lower, I actually earned at West Point when my son, when he was here. It was a special, special time for us to go through together. A hard course, about 2 weeks, learning how to kind of operate and assault using helicopters as an infantryman. Probably 2/3 of the CCs will get the opportunity to do this as West Point cadets. But they won't have this exact set of wings because these wings belong to Colonel Tony Burgess, a dear friend of mine. Tony taught me, he said, Everett, ask yourself this every week. Say, if I were an exceptional leader this week, what would I do? Ask yourself that on Sunday. If I were an exceptional leader this week, what would I do this week? That has transformed how I lead. It takes my focus from my selfish self to the leader I want to be and others deserve. So I look in the mirror, I'm proud of those air assault wings, but I think of Tony Burgess and his challenge for me. Well, I keep going, and I've got the opportunity to go to Ranger School, and that's that black and gold tab. You can kind of see it. It's not that rare. I'm glad I had the chance to go and push myself a little bit. But you're probably picking it up by now. This tab belonged to somebody else. This belonged to Command Sergeant Major Todd Burnett, who loved West Point. He loved the prep school. He was the commandant, sergeant major here. And he said, he was mentoring me one day when we were in Iraq. He said, sir, as an officer, you know what? I said, what's that, Sergeant Major? He looked at me, he said, you got to love your soldiers this much. And he put his hands out just like that. I said, what's that, Sergeant Major? He said, sir, you've got to love your soldiers this much. So when I see that Ranger tab on my shoulder, I don't think about me. I think about Sergeant Major Burnett and the expectations he has of me to love my soldiers deeply and put them before myself and their families. And the last part of the uniform I'll talk about, it's not the last one that has a story, are the U.S. insignia. The U.S. insignia. CCs, do you have a U.S. insignia yet? Okay, so we're all wearing this together, and this will go into the story. So all of us, every soldier wears United States, representing our country here. But these I got, or were given to me by Colonel Retired Kathy Schnook. Kathy was in the first class that graduated from women from West Point in 1980. She was near the top of her class. She had an outstanding Army career. Many of you might know her. You know what she told me? She said, Everett, these U.S. don't necessarily only stand for the United States. They stand for us. All of us together make the greatest team in the world, and taught me to be an inclusive leader and to leverage the best out of everyone and to give everyone else my best as we're a member of this great, great team. So CCs, when you become a cadet and when you become an officer, I encourage you to consider folks that meant a lot to you and ask them for if you could have the honor of taking a piece of them with you, because we're all interconnected. And like I said, these 4 things I talked about are the gap between the soldier I am, person I want to be, and it pulls me towards that person I ought to be. Well, let me tell you a story about another item real quick. It's my class ring. CCs, you realize it'll be 3 years when you get your West Point class rings, just 3 years from now? It's going to be amazing. You should think about the color stone and the type gold you want now. Think of those big goals. You'll be there, and I'll be very proud of you. So I told you I'm from the Southeast earlier, right? So a few years ago, I was driving from, I was on assignment in D.C. at the time. I was driving home to see my parents in Florida. And I got through North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama. Then I had a gas station in northern Florida. I wasn't quite home yet. It was the middle of the night. It was one of these old-timey gas stations with the dials on the gas that still spin. So I couldn't pay at the pump, and I needed some caffeine anyways. So I went inside. It was about 12:30 at night. For some reason, I had my class ring on. I was just dressed in civilian clothes, paid for my gas, got in line to pay for my gas, and there was a line. Maybe it was the only gas station in a while, because it was surprising at 12:30 an old gas station to have a line. And there was a kind of a heavier set lady in front of me and about 2 people in front of her. And she looked at me, and if you're from the South, you talk to strangers, right? It's okay. You're not weird when you talk to strangers in the South. And she looked at me and said, how you doing, sugar? I said, fine, ma'am. How you doing? She goes, a little sleepy. I said, me too. That's why I've got this Mountain Dew. And I held it up like this. And she goes, ooh, wee. I was like, what's that, ma'am? She goes, where did you get that ring? This story is as true as the day is bright. She goes, where did you get that ring? And I was about to answer, right? I smiled a little bit, a little pride, about to answer. I'm super proud of being part of West Point. But I kind of paused for a second, and then she goes, oh, I know. Did you win a championship? So you know now, like if you do really good in high school or college and you win the league for your sports team, you given a ring. And she thought maybe I'd won a sports championship, right? Because it's kind of a bigger ring than you usually see. And I said, nothing. I just froze. And I thought back to, I applied out of Pensacola, Florida to go to West Point. And I didn't think I had a chance to get in. And when I received that letter in the mail, I realized I had a shot. And I was going to be able to represent 400,000 Americans from Northwest Florida, District 1, at West Point. And when I got here, I developed the closest friends you could ever imagine from living and going through life with such wonderful classmates that I have 1,000 friends now that are there through thick and thin. Such deep friendships. And I had an academic program that's world class, that's going to make me a smarter, better communicator, better critical thinker, and did. And I had a military program that gave me 12 times when I was either a follower or a leader or both, and graded my performance in the field and during the academic year. And I had a physical program that invested in my classmates for 4 years and made me faster and stronger and healthier. And maybe most important of all, we had a character program that meant that all of us said the truth the first time, and we turned in work it was our own. And we aspired to do the harder right over the easier wrong, and that was deep, deep in our soul. And then it commissioned me and let me lead paratroopers and soldiers around the world, all in an environment where I could raise a wonderful family with other men and women, both in uniform and their family members, that would tighten up my family members when they got off track and sweep them up. I could let them outside without fear because I knew everybody else was on the same team I was. And I snapped back to that gas station in Florida where that lady was looking at me wondering if maybe I was a little slow. And I said, yes, ma'am. I did win a championship. I was blessed to be able to attend the United States Military Academy at West Point. So let me tell you a brief story about two friends of mine. One's named Chuck Merkel, the other Stephen Ruth. Chuck Merkel was similarly from Northwest Florida. He applied for the West Point class in 1966. He got that letter in the mail and he was off. Commissioned, became an aviation officer, served several tours volunteering for Vietnam. Did the incredible Army career of 30 years, making positive impacts everywhere he went. And then when he retired, he became the liaison officer for West Point. And he is the biggest fan of West Point. He wears West Point socks, West Point shirt, West Point belt, and every young man and woman he talks to in Northwest Florida, he tries to get into West Point. And he loves this place deeply. Lifetime of service. The other one, Colonel retired Steve Ruth. A lot of you know Steve Ruth, perhaps. He's probably one of my closest friends in the Army. Steve Ruth was from Angleton, Texas. His father was enlisted in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And Steve wanted nothing more than to serve his country. So he applied to West Point. He got the letter in the mail, and he was off. Infantryman throughout his career, 8 deployments. Soldiers and families loved him because he loved them even more. Incredible service to his country, fighting evil and defending freedom. So this is a letter they got in the mail, right here. This is their letter from West Point, admissions office. Dear Mr. Merkel, when they're 18. Dear Mr. Ruth, thank you for the application to the United States Military Academy at West Point. You have much to be proud of, and your future is bright. This year's application pool was amongst the most competitive in recent history. Unfortunately, we are unable to offer you an appointment in this year's class. Thank you again for applying and volunteering to serve your country. Best wishes for the future. The two guys I know that might love West Point a little more than me, if that's possible, don't even have the opportunity that you have in front of me. They have a hole in their heart today because they wanted to come to West Point more than anything. And their name wasn't called. Congratulations to you, class of 2025. Colonel Lee and I reviewed every one of your files, the director of admissions. I was the chair of the admissions committee. You deserve your appointment. But in honor of the great opportunity that you have in front of you from your nation, in honor of your family members, in honor of your friends, in honor of the districts you represent around the country, in honor of Colonel Ruth and Colonel Merkel, who wanted to be where you are, and you deserve every bit of it. I challenge you to embrace West Point. Commit to excellence. Focus on character. Take care of others along the way. Give more than you get. Give more than you get. So what I'd like you to do, CCs, with me, is think of a way to do that. Think of, kind of what you're thinking about with West Point. Think about a way to commit to excellence in a certain area right now. Something that's really a bit of a stretch goal for yourself. Maybe it's in the first semester, maybe it's in the first summer, maybe it's over 4 years. What's a goal you have that if you hit it, you know you're going to be in that band of excellence? Every one of you, think of that goal right now, a specific. Okay, I want you to whisper it to a classmate, somebody sitting next to you. Tell them that goal. Right now, we'll wait for you, about 20 seconds. Tell them what it is. Be specific. Be specific. It can't be just graduate. You will all graduate because you're great. Something if you achieve, you know you're achieving excellence for you. Okay, we got it? Okay, CCs, almost graduates, please rise for me. Just stand in place. Great. Okay, hey, family and friends, we're going to help them here. What we're going to do is we're going to charge them to achieve that goal they just set. So I'm going to say, CCs, our class of 2025, don't let anything stop you. And I want you to repeat after me, don't let anything stop you. Then I'm going to say, take care of others along the way. Family and friends, then you're going to say, take care of others along the way. And look at your CC. Look them in the eye. CC, you're welcome to look at your family member or friend. If you're just look in the general crowd, if there's, it's not easy to see. We ready to give them this charge? Okay, family, friends, and West Point community, please repeat. CCs, get that goal in your mind right now. Refresh yourself of what it was. Commit to it. All right, family and friends, repeat after me. Don't let anything stop you. Take care of others along the way. All right, give them a round of applause, everybody. You can sit back down. Sit back down. Okay, let me close with one more story. It's got to do with these two rocks I brought up here earlier. So in 1777, General George Washington and his ragbag group of farmers trying to defend our new nation from the biggest power in the world, the tyrannical British. Washington and his farmer army just got kicked out of Manhattan. They got blown out of Manhattan, which is that way, about 50 miles. Unfortunately, the British were coming down on another force from Kingston to the north, that way. And we were called. Washington and a small quartering party walked up the east side of the Hudson River, which is over there, in December 1777, looking for a place to defend the nation for just the winter that we might survive. But it wasn't looking good. And when he walked about 45 miles north of West Point, he looked from the other side of the river from a place called Constitution Island. And he saw this S-turn in the river in a 100-foot cliff. And he said, if you know anything about sailing, that British ships that use the Hudson as their highway and their airport to resupply, if we could stop the British from access to the Hudson, we might be able to survive. Let's defend our nation here. So when he and his quartering party walked across that frozen Hudson in December, put the flag of our young nation here and built Fortress West Point in 1778. And across that gap of 700 meters, Washington and his troopers laid a great chain of 700 links of iron, each weighing 114 pounds, made in Sterling Iron Works, about 10 miles upriver, floated down on logs. And he connected that chain and floated them on wood from West Point, anchored against trees, and hung the other end to Constitution Island, and had a huge chain across the river saying, British, try me if you will. This was such a fortress. After he put 17 battery of cannon around that chain, the British didn't try. It cut off their logistics and communications line, and we were able to win that war and have a free nation still today. So if I could ask a few CCs to come up for just a brief illustration. Don't worry, you're not going to have to say anything. Deb Mensa, come on up. Merrick Arvigas, come on up. Aiden Hennon, come on up. Cricket Johnson, please, come on up. These are CCs I happen to know through our life stories, or I actually met one of them yesterday and their family. So come on up. They're just representative of all the CCs. If y'all would just stand kind of in front of the flags, like when you get to the flags, just stop there. You're good, Deb. Come towards me a little bit. There you go. Great, perfect. Okay, so 1778, that chain went in to defend our country against evil. Our country is literally protected by links of iron. But about 4 years later, when we won that war, we pulled that chain up. We pulled that chain up, and West Point became a military academy shortly thereafter. West Point today is just as instrumental in our nation's defense, maybe even more. But instead of links of iron, we defend our country with links of people and leaders of character who will lead soldiers to fight evil and defend freedom. So this rock is from the chain battery of West Point. Picked it up 2 days ago. This is where the chain was connected. Washington probably rode over it. This rock is from Constitution Island. Picked it up on Tuesday. It's probably where Washington's soldiers secured that chain on the far bank. USMAPS class of 2025. USMAE class of 2029. Thank you for putting your hand up to fight evil, defend freedom. Congratulations on a career in front of you of loving your soldiers deeply and seeking to do good in the world. Desire, faith, effort, duty, honor, country. Army strong, out of many one. May God bless you in your service to the nation. Team, give them a round of applause. So team, in honor of your graduation, I have a small rock from Constitution Island that's labeled with a CI on it, and a small rock from West Point with a WP on it, written for each one of you in the graduating class. I'm going to put the Constitution Island bucket down there. It's going to say CI. I'd like you to grab it. Grab one when you come on stage for your graduation. I'm going to put the West Point one right here. And on your way down, I want you to grab a second one. We're not going to hand it to you. You're going to take it on purpose from you. It's your symbol that you're ready to defend our nation, as that great chain did, and now you do, as the modern day links in that great chain. Congratulations to you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the USMAPS class of 2025 will now move forward to receive their certificates. As part of the commencement ceremony, the United States Military Academy Preparatory School annually recognizes select cadet candidates who have clearly demonstrated a superior level of performance throughout the year. We begin by acknowledging those cadet candidates who finished in the top 10% of the class with a cumulative performance score of 3.5 or higher. The cumulative performance score accounts for their academic, military, and physical performance scores. Please hold your applause until the name of the final distinguished graduate is read. Savannah Bagwell. Fallon Barreto. August Bell. Emma Blackwell. Sophia Boone. Van Carter. Louis Cruz. Colin Davis. Adam Dietrich. Hayden Flynn. Nadia Flynn. Noah Frank. Griffin Frankfather. Tyler Heidemann. Jacob Hinton. John Holt. Eric Huter. Benjamin Jesse. Joshua Little. Carter Lundeen. Bryson Luder. Hunter Middleton. Jay Nava. Joseph Pat. Rainer Patawi. Oscar Savala. Kellen Smith. Mackenzie Tokar. Brantley Wigington. Kai Wolfolk. Ladies and gentlemen, the distinguished graduates of the USMAPS class of 2025. The remainder of the class will now receive their certificates. Please hold your applause until all cadet candidates have received their certificate. Apollo Academia. Olivia Alvarez Knapp. Merrick Arbogast. Dylan Armentrout. Kyle Baltazar. John Bell. Brant Bishop. Wyatt Blanchard. Vasilia Boscovich. Turner Boyle. Christopher Broberg. William Brockmeyer. Aiden Bross. Noah Butler. Peyton Butts. Karina Cadaballo. Christian Carrillo. Takoya Chidi. Caroline Christie. Cole Connor. Jackson Cook. Olivia Cooper. Jacob Cotterill. Kelly Kramer. Eli Colbreth. Ethan Dalland. Michael DeGennaro. Brooke Desdubin. Daniel Dorset Jr. Gabrielle Drux. Abram Edwards. Mark Irvin Espiritu. Ethan Frock. Jackson Furman. Brennan Gaycad. Jonathan Gibson. Philip Goltick Morales. Joshua Greer. Cricket Johnston. Jessica Marsh. Phoenix Martin. Emmanuel Munoz. Miguel Pena. Sofia Perez Montoya. Julian Porter. Leilani Ramos. Brian Ray III. Dalen Registe. Aiden Rhodes. Sebastian Sean Riley. Brenton Russell. Xavier Ryan. Milan Smith. Damani Stewart. Howard Stenson Jr. Frederick Swingle. David Tom Rogers. Zach Tomasevich. Essay Yamani. Kevin Beltran. Katrina Brand. Chase Clark. Elijah Easley. Megan Echea. Kofi Ediful. Isla Insland. Layla Galarza. Michaela Garcia. Madeline Gibson. Jahan Green. Ryan Hagg. Jaden Harden. Aiden Hennon. Owen Hicks. Olivia Hildebrand. Jackson Hines. Robert James. Bryce Jaworski. Masood Jennings. Jeremiah Johnson. Jalen Jones. Keely Kearns. Jaquil Kendricks. Arvin Horsravi. Jack Kim. Nelson Kanapke. Joseph Kuruvilla. Gage LaPlante. Anthony Latero. Nicholas Lozano. Gabriel Lund. William Mack. Tyler Malik. Jake Martini. Harrison Mass. Jefferson McDonald. Nicholas McGlynn. Richard McGrath. Greg Meidel. Deborah Mensa. Alejandro Merlano. Ethan Meyer. Naeem Miller. Chase Morgan. Jaquavius Moss. Caden Nairn. Nathan Newell. Asan Ingham. God's Power, Wawiye. Robin Oblivious. Harrison Orr. Christian Oseafiana. Josiah Overbeek. Noah Park. Elena Perez Montoya. Joyce Philippe. Nathan Adejokin. Maya Agena. Stephen Ackley. Brian Aline Jr. Jack Alpaw. Bryson Banks. Dylan Benner. Angel Bolinas. Hayden Brace. Troy Bryant. Adam Buffington. Jaden Bumba. Diego Castro Enamorado. Nasir Clark. Nelson DeAndrade. Suanu Duenas. Edward Ferguson. Spencer Fleming. Austin Francis. Kavion Freeman. Kieran Garris. Sophia Geipel. Mike Godinez Martinez. Debion Johnson. Jadam Jung. Jaden Clyde Lenteja. Joshua Milholland. Christopher Newcomb. Daniel Odell. Anthony Paradiso. Grace Porter. Jacob Poynton. Julia Putnam. Christian Rada. Akib Raja. Ren Rambo. Shane Riley. Lawrence Renner. Damian Resendez. Marcus Ream. Aylin Rowe. Ian Santana. Sabrina Sardar. Timothy Savchuk. Joseph Scardina. Xander Schroeder. Clayton Simmons. Casper Stewart. Marissa Geraldine Swierkos. Zane Tallman. Simone Tillman. Nathan Vargas. Edgardo Velasquez. Thomas von Eschenbach. Tristan Wagner. Jackson Weingart. Todd Worth. Ladies and gentlemen, the USMAPS class of 2025.
Colonel Spain, on behalf of the USMAPS class of 2025 and Vanguard class of 2029, we would like to thank you for your remarks today. It is my pleasure to present you with a token of our appreciation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the Army song and remain standing for the departure of the official party. A special thank you to the West Point Band for the support of the USMAPS graduation activities this week. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the commencement ceremony. Please take a moment to enjoy this special time with your cadet candidates, as the first shuttle back to A-Lot leaves at 12:30. The pickup location is the same as your drop-off spot. Cadet candidates, your shuttle back to USMAPS will depart from the same bus location. Please remember that you must complete out processing at USMAPS prior to leaving. The earliest time cadet candidates can be picked up is 14:30. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. Desire, faith, effort. Definitely fun. I gotta. Actually, I need somebody from the other team. How loud is this?